Optimizing health while traveling. Summer is definitely a time a lot of my patients are out and about visiting family, visiting friends, and it's quite challenging. Hey, how am I supposed to stick to my health goals while traveling? So it's going to be really exciting to help ease some nerves around this topic. We're registered dietitians from the Create Cures Foundation Clinic. This is a nonprofit organization founded by Dr. Walter Longo. It is so fulfilling to utilize this incredible research from Dr. Longo and beyond and actually implement it into clinical practice. Here at the Create Cures Foundation, well, with this webinar, I do want to voice a disclaimer. This is not at all a replacement for any medical advice. And we do work with a lot of complex and serious situations. I want you all to know that the goal at the Create Cures Foundation is to help you live a healthy, long life, but also a happy, fulfilling one. Okay. So, in this webinar, with our patients and with you all, I really, really intend to help implement the research, making it tangible, making it realistic for you. My name is Katie Rhines. I have a master's in nutrition and cancer and human nutrition. I did publish a cookbook, the Heart Disease Cookbook, and I used to work for Dr. Furman. And it's been amazing getting to implement nutrition as medicine and getting to work here with such an incredible team at the Create Cures Foundation. And I'll let the other team members introduce themselves briefly as well.
Thanks, Katie. Hi, everyone. My name is Lota. I'm also a registered dietitian at the Create Cures Foundation. I studied at USC. I got a master's in nutrition, health span, and longevity. And I also studied under Dr. Longo in Italy. And a lot of my research in my master's program was on vegan and vegetarian diets and protein needs.
Hi, everybody. My name is Shayna. I'm another dietitian at the Great Cures Foundation. And I also studied under Dr. Longo at USC to get my master's in nutrition, health span, and longevity. And throughout my time there, I did a lot of research on oncology nutrition. So, really excited to be with you all today and talk about traveling.
Hello, everyone. My name is Frida, also a dietitian at Create Cures Foundation. I did my master's in nutrition, health span, and longevity at University of Southern California, and also a lot of research under Dr. Longo's supervision. And I'm currently completing my PhD also under Dr. Longo's supervision. So very excited to be here today and to be working with this amazing team here at Create Cures.
Woohoo! Thank you, everybody. Let's get into it. Okay. Before we begin, I would love to know, maybe open up your Q&A box since it seems like the chat box isn't working. I would love to hear, do you feel like it's challenging to be consistent with your health promoting behaviors while traveling? Yes or no? Is this something that you're like, oh, I got this in the bag? Most people, not so much. Maybe using the Q&A feature. Would love to hear from you. Yes, thank you. Okay. Well, this is definitely going to be helpful for you, at least one person out there. It is hard. Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you for taking the time out of your day. We're hopefully going to be really answering some questions for you and making it a lot easier. We're going to be going over the science of travel and health. What does the research tell us how travel impacts our health? On-the-go nutrition, eating out intentionally, movement, sleep, and stress, how to optimize these and how these might impact your health while traveling. There is a quiz at the end, so be sure to pay attention. And of course, we do want to answer as many questions as we can. So utilize the Q&A box, and we're going to try our best to answer your questions. So with this Q&A box feature, why might our health take a hit while traveling? Does anybody have any specific issues while traveling? Yes, it's difficult, especially on cruises. Ooh, that's interesting. Gluten-free, hard to find the right diet. Yeah, accessibility to healthy food while traveling can be a challenge, especially at the airport where food is expensive. Oh, I'm so excited to dive into this because we do have a lot of a lot of things to help. Exactly like you mentioned, food access, dehydration, physical inactivity, stress, sleep disturbances. And yeah, these different, whether it be a cruise, a train ride, a plane ride, car, there's just a lot of different things that are up in the air your body's not used to. It can be stressful trying to get to that plane on time, right? Let's dive into it. When it comes to the research, what does the science say on travel and health? Well, according to the CDC, jet-lagged travelers frequently report GI disturbances, especially after crossing more than 3 time zones. What this might be related to, maybe it's dehydration, but jet lag in itself, that circadian rhythm disruption, it can lead to misalignment between the internal circadian clock and the external environment, which is in itself associated with GI symptoms such as constipation. A 2021 New England Journal of Medicine review highlights circadian misalignment impairs GI motility and can precipitate constipation, as the gut's physiological processes, including motility and secretion, are very tightly regulated by circadian clocks. Absolutely fascinating. Something that I often emphasize with my patients regarding circadian timing. We at the Create Cures Foundation really like to emphasize a time-restricted feeding window of 12 to 14 hours of a a fasting window. And this is because, and we really emphasize making sure your last bite of food is at least 3 hours before going to bed. Why? Because when you're sleeping, that's when a lot of processes happen to help your body really detoxify. You're helping your body to really clean up house and help your immune system to repair, rejuvenate, recover as you're sleeping. So when the circadian clock gets a little bit thrown off, hey, melatonin competes with insulin, the hormone that helps to digest our sugars. And when we're eating too much too late at night or when our circadian clock is off, a lot of things can be thrown off. This is just a graph, a little bit of an image, explaining, hey, during different times of the day, different organs are going to be able to do different things. So something to really, really, really keep in mind is trying our best to maintain a healthy sleep schedule. Maybe something you didn't think of so much before. And our circadian clock and our gut health is extremely tightly tied with our immune system and immunity. And this constipation, it's often related to dehydration. Even slight dehydration, serum osmolality of over about 300, is linked to lower ex vivo cytokine production, suggesting impaired immune responsiveness. So also when it comes to constipation, it could be related to decreased intake of dietary fiber and antioxidants. The decreased intake of fiber and antioxidants can reduce the production of gut microbiota-derived short-chain fatty acids, which are extremely important for our immune system function and critical for maintaining mucosal immunity and system CD4 and T cell function, leading to decrease of both mucosal and systemic immunity. So thinking about this, how important it is to stay hydrated, eat plenty of fiber and plenty of antioxidants. Antioxidant deficiency also increases oxidative stress and inflammation, further impairing the immune system function. Also, physical inactivity. This could be what's also contributing to constipation, associated with immunosenescence, increased systemic inflammation, and reduced immune surveillance, which together increases the susceptibility to infection. So with all of this in mind, we are going to be going over a lot of tips and a lot of other research going over, okay, what can we do to combat all of these things that might impair our health while traveling? Overall, the top negative health impacts are compromised gut motility and suppressed immune function. And this is related to sleep disturbances, dehydration, decreased fiber intake, decreased antioxidant intake, and decreased physical activity. So I'm going to let Shayna take it away from here, going over, okay, how can we best prepare for the trip?
Yeah, thank you so much, Katie. It's so interesting to go and dive into the research about exactly why our bodies feel so different when we travel and how we can best combat that. So let's go into we're about to go on our trip. What can we do to prepare and ensure while we're on our trip that we're going to still feel our best? So I want to ask you all, go back down to the Q&A box. What is one health practice that you strive to keep while you're on vacation? So what is something you might prioritize already that you really want to make sure you're doing on vacation? Exercise? Anything else? Oh, I'm seeing sleep, walking, staying gluten-free if you're already gluten-free, lots of sleep. Sleep is so important, as Katie shared as well. So let's dive into it all. Okay, so a really great and easy way to ensure you're fueling your body with fiber is bringing it yourself. So you can plan ahead for meals during your travel days or maybe long excursions. And so there's plenty of non-perishable nutrient-dense snacks you can bring that will up your fiber and your protein so that you don't feel like you're missing out. Or if there aren't choices that might fit your needs, you can have these. So having trail mix with nuts and seeds are great. Just make sure you're trying to avoid the ones with a lot of sugar or candy. Bringing your own chia seeds, your flax seeds, and your oats. Those are really great sources of fiber, and you can really just soak the chia seeds and the oats in some hot water and let it sit for 15 minutes, and you have a really great snack or meal. And flaxseed as well, really great source of fiber. Also, something I love to do is when I travel, I bring a water bottle and I like to put some chia seeds in there because then it's going to bloom, it's going to give me a lot of extra fiber, and really support my gut microbiome, even when I'm not eating as much fiber. Also, there's plenty of roasted chickpeas or edamame snacks out there. You can go on Amazon or find in your local health food store. Bringing your own nuts and seed butters or even whole food bars are really great options too if you're really in a pinch. There's plenty of herbal teas that are aimed to target digestion and also stress, as we know that can even traveling can be very stressful on the body. So for digestion, things like jasmine green tea, warm tea, or warm lemon water in the morning when you wake up, that can actually help stimulate the bowel movement. Dandelion root tea, really great for detoxification. And then if you're wanting some sleep support, sleepy time tea is great. So also when we're traveling, when you're going to restaurants, ensure you have vegetables with your meals so you're getting more of that fiber source. Look for the rainbow. We know that different colors have really different benefits for our bodies. And so trying even when you're abroad or somewhere new, choose different colors in your foods and you're likely going to have different benefits. Supplements too. We're still going to brush our teeth, so we're still going to take our same supplements. And talk with your care team, but supplements that might help support sleep or digestion could be magnesium or probiotics. But definitely check with your team before starting those. And then when you're planning out your trip, you obviously want to plan out your restaurants, or maybe your family's planning out your restaurants. But this is a really great tool so that you can know and look up before you're going to the restaurant about what options you might choose or might help best support your health needs. And don't be afraid to communicate. So even if you call ahead of time, I'm sure you never know. They can be very accommodating, even in other countries, about whether you want it to be your food to be primarily cooked in olive oil or reducing a dressing, or even if they offer additional options that might best suit your needs as well. It's always worth asking. And then a really big and important topic I talk about with my patients and I hear a lot is how can we support our immune system? Because when you go on a plane, you're really exposing yourself to new germs and a lot of people. So bringing a mask, especially if you're immunocompromised, bring a mask on the airplane. Make sure you're wearing it. Make sure you travel with hand sanitizer and wipes. I know it sounds like common sense, but it's helpful to remember. Making sure you're remembering to wash your hands really, really frequently while you're traveling too, or in really crowded places. And then again, too, if you're trying to bring your apples or your produce or non-perishable, slower produce, not so perishable items like apples, berries, and vegetables, make sure you wash them. So you wouldn't not wash them at home. You still want to wash them before you eat them while you travel. And then finally, we're going to drill this one in for you guys all throughout this whole webinar, but drinking water, make sure you drink plenty of water because like Katie said, it's very dehydrating when we're traveling. So really be sure you're drinking, and fiber too to support both your immune system. So it works not just for our gut, but also our immune system because we know 70% of our immune cells actually are in the gut. And I'm gonna bring it over to talk about mental prep and setting intentions. So go back in the Q&A box and I want to hear, what does healthy travel look like for you guys? So I know a lot of people said exercise and sleep. Is there anything else? Somebody said coffee in the morning helps with gut motility. Absolutely. What other healthy travel ideas or things that you guys implement, whether it be physical things you bring, but also mental ways you like to have conversations or anything like that? Someone said eating fruit and more sleep. Perfect. Air quality monitor. Great. De-stressing. I love that. So healthy travel, like I said, looks not just in our physical way, but it can also be very mental as well. So making sure you look intentionally at yourself and maybe write down a couple intentions before the trip. So whether it's maintaining your energy, reducing stress, or maintaining a healthy gut function, this can look in so many different ways. So I encourage everybody before they're going on a trip, maybe it's with a lot of different people, to write down their own intentions of what they really want to make sure they're doing. So maybe it's getting 10,000 steps a day, drinking your water, mindfulness. Those are all great intentions. And then just remember too, like we said, flexibility is part of the process. So when we're traveling, we know that you must be flexible. So be present, acknowledge that if you're not at your best, that's totally okay. It's more important to be with your family and be as mindful as possible. And to go into more about hydration and digestion, let's hand it over to Loda.
Thank you, Shayna. I love the idea of setting an intention before going on a trip. I'm definitely going to take that advice moving forward. So we can go on to the next screen. So one thing that has been mentioned already is the risk of getting dehydrated during travel. And this is particularly risky on airplanes for a variety of factors. So when we're taking flights, there are some things in the cabin like low humidity, low air pressure, and high altitude that all contribute to dehydration more than if we're on ground level and normal pressure. But some other factors that can contribute it to are reduced fluid intake, if like we forgot to bring a water bottle or don't get served. Maybe we're on an overnight flight and there's not a lot of water or fluids being served, we can actually reduce our fluid intake. But also sitting for a long period of time or immobilization can actually promote fluid shifts from our upper extremities down to our lower extremities, and that can also accelerate dehydration. Some other factors are high sodium airplane food. I saw in the chat box somebody was talking about how there's a lot of sodium when we're eating out or traveling. Alcohol and caffeine are both diuretics that can contribute to increased water losses. And then circadian rhythm, which Katie mentioned, that can also affect our gut health or our gut motility and absorption of water and fluids. So decreased intake and increased losses can both contribute to dehydration while we're flying. And this can impact our gut health. So how does dehydration negatively affect our gut health? First is by slowing digestion. But another thing is that a lot of digestive enzymes work in water. So it's reducing the efficiency of some of these enzymes, impaired nutrient absorption, and then also altering our gut bacteria and immune function. And when traveling, up to 40% of people experience constipation, especially in the initial days. And this connects to dehydration because even mild dehydration is a risk factor for constipation. Part of that is because fiber needs water to help with bowel movements. So when we're thinking about some of the delicious nuts and seeds that Shayna mentioned, like chia seeds, they're really high in soluble fiber. And soluble means that it helps absorb water, which softens the stool and adds bulk to it, making it easier to pass through the intestines. So if we're eating a lot of fiber, like trying to be intentional about eating these nuts and seeds, but not having enough water, it can actually backfire and lead to constipation. So with some of these tips for how to improve hydration, if we can go to the next slide. Oops, one back. So we can go, first of all, like if when we're packing, trying to bring a refillable stainless steel water bottle. That can help us when we go to the airport. If we bring an empty water bottle with us through security, then most airports now have filtered water, so we can refill it after security. Or if you forgot your water bottle, a lot of airports now are selling bottled water in glass or aluminum. So once you finish the water in the glass and aluminum, you can just use that to refill at the different water refill stations. Again, limiting caffeine and alcohol because those are diuretics, which will increase water losses through urination. So if we do want to have alcohol or caffeine, we can try first drinking 16 to 32 ounces of water to help with hydration. And then also electrolytes. So there's actually research that shows that when we're traveling in high altitudes, that compared to just plain water, drinking water or coconut water with electrolytes added is better hydrating for all of our cells. So that could mean packing electrolyte powders to add to water on the plane or snacking on fruits and vegetables, which are natural sources of electrolytes. And the guidance can be to aim for at least 8 ounces of water per hour of flying. And one kind of underlooked factor that may contribute to reduced intake on flights is not worrying about disrupting the other people. So if we're sitting by the window or in the middle seat and we don't know the people that we're sitting next to, maybe we intentionally or unintentionally reduce our water intake so that we don't have to keep getting up to bother the people next to us. So if that's something that you're concerned about, you can try and sit in an aisle seat. So you can get up, go to the bathroom without disturbing others. And it also may make it easier to walk around the cabin to get some of that movement in as well on longer flights. So with some of these tips in mind, what's one way that you might want to ensure that you stay hydrated next time you travel? You can use the Q&A box to put any suggestions, either some of it, if any tip resonated with you, or if you have a different tip that you like to use while you're traveling. I saw a question about catching up with water intake after getting off the plane to prevent frequent bathroom tips. Yeah, so it can be helpful to, if you're not drinking enough water during the flight, to make sure that you're getting that hydration afterwards. And it looks like everybody should be able to use the chat box now. Awesome. Bring electrolytes. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, so now I'll move on to the next section with Frida.
Great, thank you, Lota. So we have definitely talked a lot about setting intentions when we're traveling, and this especially applies to also when we're eating out. So when we go out to eat, it's important to set a clear intention, whether it is that we're choosing to enjoy a cultural experience, is this going to be a cheap meal, or is the intention to have a really amazing time, but still really stay on track with our health goals? So there's a lot of research on behavior change and intention setting for health maintenance during the travel. And we see how if you're setting a clear intention prior to traveling, whether it's sticking on track with, can we go back? Yeah, let's stay here. Staying on track with our fitness routine, sleep goals, Are we going to stay on track with our nutrition plan? And having a plan prior to traveling, it's very important. Even visualizing yourself, what are you going to do on the trip, whether it is what are you going to eat, what are the activities you're going to do, are you able to take some walks while you're traveling, is there maybe a gym at the hotel that you can go to while you're traveling, and really have a good plan prior to the trip. So what I like to do before I go out to eat is, if possible, to look at the menu beforehand. That way you can really identify possible healthier foods. You can have a plan. Maybe there's something you may have to substitute, or maybe something you can add to the meal, such as some vegetables, for example. Maybe instead of getting the typical dressing that comes with the meal, you can ask for olive oil or vinegar for a healthier option. Also really prioritizing whole real foods over processed foods. So let's say, is there a piece of salmon on the menu, you can add some vegetables to it instead of, for example, a processed vegetable burger where there's a lot of chemicals, there's a lot of processed ingredients, and we may not know what's in this burger. Uh, don't drink your calories. So a lot of drinks, especially alcohol, of course, a lot of empty calories that we want to try to stay away from. We can also request half of the meal to go. You can save it for the day after. That's a possibility to stay on like the calorie limit, whatever the calorie goal is. Splitting the meal with a friend is also another tip when you are ordering out. And then, yeah, definitely the dressing on the side, or even just substituting it for olive oil instead. And we know that food is so much more than just fuel for our body. It's really also about connections with people, with our friends, with our family, and our loved ones. And I think it's very important to, prior to traveling, really being an advocate for your own health, and maybe have that conversation with your travel companions about your health needs. So, for example, somebody who's going through cancer treatment, who are fighting cancer or going through maybe remission or treatment, have a very different goal than somebody who's completely healthy, no diagnosis, and may not have that why am I staying on track with this nutrition. So important not to compare yourself to other people, but be a good advocate for yourself and have that conversation prior to traveling, so there's no pressure, social pressure during traveling, and you don't want this to be a big issue. So very important to talk prior to traveling. And just being very mindfully while you're eating, checking in with hunger cues. Am I eating now because I'm bored? Am I eating because I'm stressed or maybe haven't slept enough? Or am I eating because I'm actually really hungry? So being mindful about why you're eating is also very important. And by choosing balanced meals, which we're going to see on the next plate here, really will help with fueling your body and prevent craving and eating unhealthy foods later on. So I like this picture here because it could be used as a good tool to picture what your plate should look like. So if we visualize our plate in front of us, we want a quarter to consist of vegetables. We want a quarter to have some good whole grains. So whether that's brown rice, whole grain pasta, for example, to get a lot of the fiber, which we talked earlier about, very important during traveling. We also want to have a quarter of the plate with some good healthy protein. Seafood is a great option. There's a lot of plant-based options, soy, lentils, beans. We want to limit red meat in moderation, again, based on the individual and what is the health goal of this person. Then we also want to add some good oils to it. It could be olive oil, avocado, even some nuts if that works with the meal, or you can have that separate as a snack later on. And then, as I mentioned, we don't want to drink our calories, so the preferred drink is going to be water or some sparkling water with some flavor to it, such as lemon or some lime juice could be added as well. And I'm sure a lot of you are going to travel this summer. Some people may go and experience a new culture, and you don't want to be on a particular diet and prevent you from enjoying this new experience. So it's important to embrace local foods with a lot of curiosity and also respect, very important. And trying new dishes can also be a very meaningful part of not only creating great connections with others, but also overall the whole travel experience. And maybe you discover a new health food as well. And I think it's important to not label all the foods as, oh, this is a good food and this is a bad food, but the focus should just be on a balance, and by eating a little bit, trying different things that overall should not be too, it shouldn't get you off track, even if you have a specific health journey. So if you guys can write in there, now the chat box is working. So how are you going to set yourself up for success with future plans? Oh, sorry, I don't see the screen here. So how are you going to set yourself up for success with future plans to eat socially? Get Airbnb to cook for ourselves and invite friends over. Love that idea. That way you can control what you're cooking, you know the ingredients. Reviewing menus in advance and tell people I have celiac. That's also a very good idea. It's good to communicate with the waiter or the waitress about your nutritional needs as well. Communicate needs with joy. Amazing. A lot of great answers. So now I'm going to hand it over back to Lota.
Great, thank you, Frida. Lots of great tips there. So now we're going to move on to talking about movement, sleep, and stress. First of all, movement is a great one because it's actually possible to get even more movement than usual when we're traveling, especially if we work a sedentary desk job or work in a city where it's hard to kind of go out and explore. So the first thing with travel is if we take that mindset of exploring, planning to walk around. Maybe we have a plan to go to a museum and we can walk over there, or if our hotel is in a neighborhood that has some local coffee shops, maybe in the morning we go and walk to the cafe instead of getting the hotel breakfast coffee. So walking around is definitely a wonderful form of exercise that can be a good way of also getting to know a city a little bit better. Some other tips are taking the stairs, especially like if we're in a hotel, you can take the stairs to your room. Signing up for a local yoga or fitness class can be a really fun way to try a new studio. You could also make it a social event if you're traveling with work colleagues or family. And that can be often scheduled in the morning before the rest of the plans for the day, whether it's a work trip or a vacation. Or alternatively, choosing a hotel that has a workout room so you can just go upstairs or downstairs and get that workout in before going on to the rest of your day. One thing that can be really fun is to recruit friends, family, or colleagues to do some of these activities with you to turn it into also getting the benefits of that social experience and a little bit of accountability and motivation. And then overall, incorporating more movement. If you're like brushing your teeth, you can do some air squats or wall sits. Or if you have a phone call walking around the hotel room, some of those little like exercise snacks or little movement breaks can really help with regulating our blood sugar and helping with energy levels. And sleep is a common one that can be disrupted when traveling, especially across multiple time zones. And Katie already covered some of the impacts that misaligned circadian rhythm can have. So with sleep, that can be really helpful to try and resynchronize our circadian rhythm with the time zone that we're traveling to. And some tips that can be really helpful are, first of all, light therapy. So exposure to natural light within an hour of waking up can really help wake up our system, resynchronize those peripheral clocks or master clock with circadian rhythm. And then at nighttime also, we want to prevent getting a lot of bright light. So using blue light blockers if you're working late at night, or trying really hard to kind of switch off any screens to help set us up for success before going to bed. Time restricted eating is another one. Katie already mentioned our recommendations on trying to have a 12 to 14 hour overnight fast where we're not eating. And in part, that can help synchronize our peripheral clocks, or these like little clocks around the tissues of our body that actually check our timing based on whether we're fed or fasted rather than based on light. So we have a master clock in our brain that is regulated by light exposure, and then all of these peripheral clocks that are actually regulated by our feeding period. So aligning our eating windows with the natural daylight can be really helpful for getting all of those clocks in alignment. Exercising in the morning or early afternoon can also help with energy levels and feeling good throughout the day. And then some things that can help with sleep. So first of all, yeah, turning off all of the lights before bed, but packing an eye mask or earplugs, especially if we're traveling to a city where there's a lot of bright lights or loud noises. I saw in the chat somebody mentioned a white noise machine that can be like a great option to travel with. And then there's magnesium, which has a calming effect, and you can use magnesium supplements or creams or even taking a magnesium Epsom salt bath. And then finally, some other things that have been shown to be helpful are flavonoids, which are phytonutrients, tryptophan, which is converted into melatonin and serotonin, and some food sources of tryptophan. I think a lot of us are familiar with poultry, but actually soy and nuts and seeds are also good sources of tryptophan. And melatonin, which can be from either food or supplements. And some foods really rich in melatonin are pistachios, tart cherries, goji berries, and some different nuts and seeds. So these are all tips that can help with resynchronizing our circadian rhythm to the time zone that we're traveling to. That can really impact beneficially the quality and timing of our sleep. And this is just an overview of some of the things that we talked about, where a lot of it is about this resynchronizing to the new time zone with our circadian rhythms. And lastly, stress management. So whether we're traveling with friends and family and some of the stress related with that, or if we're traveling for business, there can be worse sleep, some higher rates of anxiety and depression, or some more sedentary behavior. So we've covered some tips that can help with some of those. But regarding stress management, the first tip, it kind of follows from what Shayna shared about planning ahead. So if we feel like we have our itinerary in order, we know how we're getting from place to place, maybe have a schedule for the entire trip, that can help with feeling relaxed and prepared for the vacation or the business trip. And then once we're on the trip, allowing extra time, especially in the early days, to get from place to place. Maybe we're trying to adjust to a new subway system or public transportation, or aren't really sure how the taxis work or the walking distance. Just incorporating a little bit of extra time to allow for any potential delays, or maybe wanting to walk around and explore a little bit, going from place to place. But those things can really help reduce stress while we're on our vacation or trip. Prioritizing sleep, hydration, and nourishing foods can have a significant impact on our well-being and energy levels. Listening to calming music or going for a walk outside are good for nervous system regulation. Also trying to schedule downtime or alone time, especially if we're traveling with a big group or maybe going to a conference. We do need that time to kind of relax and recharge and kind of be alone with ourselves to give ourselves the energy that we need to have all that social activity. And then some other exercises that can be helpful for nervous system regulation are grounding, like sitting out in the grass or connecting our feet to the ground, doing deep breathing exercises, which can also help stimulate our vagus nerve, which is associated with the parasympathetic nervous system, or that rest and digest stage. And then some free meditation apps can be helpful either in the morning or at night, like Insight Timer and Belly Bio, just to get more into that relaxed state. So talking about movement, sleep, and stress management, what are some of these health promoting behaviors that you might want to incorporate next time you travel? Online video is an amazing one. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. So whether you're using like the hotel's little exercise room to do some weights, or just body weight movements in the hotel room, that's a great resource. And for sleep, temperature control is really important too. We prefer to sleep in cooler temperatures. So if the room's too hot, that can disrupt our sleep. Exercise bands. Yeah, that's a really nice compact thing to travel with that can be helpful for doing some resistance training. Great, thanks everyone. Calm, another good one. Good meditation app. Thank you.
Awesome. So thank you so much, Lota. That was really incredible. And everybody, it sounds like, is already coming up with more ideas of things they can take on vacation. So let's consolidate now. We've talked about a lot of different hacks or tips while we're traveling. So let's go over in different categories what our main tips are. So we talk a lot about preparation, and first things first, when you go to a new place, you can go to the grocery store, make sure you have staples that you might have at home, whether it's different greens or different vegetables. You can look for healthy spots, whether it's organic grocery stores, a green juice place, or even places to get meals on the go or make it yourself. Look for hikes and places to walk around and explore because, like Lotus said, sometimes actually you can be more active on vacation and taking advantage of that time and the ability to walk when you might not normally be able to. It's a really great way to explore. Make sure you can get a green juice or something if you don't feel like you're going to have access to a lot of vegetables in the place you're at. So making sure you're not getting it with a lot of fruit because fruit can then spike your blood sugar. Looking for berries and salad and plenty of veggies and beans. These are all really great. And focusing on that. And like we said, we definitely don't want to skip a meal because that might make you hungry and make you choose things you don't want, but rather really looking for the things that you know will fill you up and nourish you. So keep that healthy plate mindset, even when you're at restaurants, like Frida said, looking for the whole foods, looking for things you know the names of rather than the processed food. That's usually going to be better for your health. You can even bring a meal on the flight when you're there. You can find farmers markets to really enjoy the unique and local produce or restaurants too. And then getting a lot of these local foods, like maybe it's sourdough or different fruits and vegetables, things you don't normally have, because like I said, variety is really good for our gut and our immune system. And then going into fiber, we all mentioned, I think, bringing fiber, ensuring you're getting enough fiber even while you're traveling is really important to prevent constipation. So you can bring chia seeds and rolled oats. You can bring them in the bag on the plane. You can just add hot water to them. Or you can even put it in your water bottle. You can bring hummus or nut butter. Just be careful if you're flying overseas to make it under 4 ounces. And then raw nuts and seeds are great and just really easy to have. And then vegetables too, like baby carrots, sugar snap peas, bell pepper, cucumber, and celery. Some staples you can buy too, like we mentioned, getting trail mix or something like that, but also crackers, like the Mary's Gone and the Flackers are really great. They're super seedy and perfect for on the go. Kale chips are amazing. Bean snacks, these are all really good fiber sources that are non-perishable you can take on the plane. And finally, really easy fruits like bananas, oranges, and apples. And actually, green apples are a lot lower in sugar. And then even too, you can look for pureed baby food packets. So whether it's greens or applesauce, really, if you're in a pinch, there's always something to do. Exercise, again, like walking and exploring, taking the stairs, making sure you're optimizing your sleep, even though it's really hard when we travel. So looking for eye masks and earplugs and sunglasses. If it's, you're wanting to sleep, that's going to really help lock you in and prevent any light exposure at night. But then during the day, you definitely want to get a lot of sun exposure to really set your circadian rhythm, because our bodies work on a clock and we're really showing our body if it's daylight, we want to be awake. So getting that sunlight is really helpful. And then again, for sleep, choosing really nourishing or sleep promoting teas like chamomile or sleepy time tea. And then really just prioritizing too. I know it can be a lot going on when we're on vacation or on a work trip, but really prioritizing your sleep is very important. And finally, really, really important, hydration. So bring a water bottle. So easy. You can buy one in the airport, buy a glass water bottle and reuse it 100 times. Stay hydrated. You can add electrolytes while you're traveling too, especially on the airplane or after to make sure you're replenishing. And then hydrating so that you can have a bowel movement. And if you need some extra help, some tea like smooth mood tea or lemon water, jasmine tea, magnesium are really helpful for digestion. Awesome. So I'm sure all of you have taken away something new that you picked up from this webinar. So what packing ideas might you have or implement now to help stay hydrated, ensure you're getting your fiber intake and having antioxidants while you're traveling? Let's see. Anybody have anything they noted? Roasted edamame, so good. Great source of protein too. Protecting your skin, really great. I like the ideas with the kale chips. Somebody said kale chips are really great. You can even make them at home and have them on the plane before. Okay, so quiz time. I hope you're all listening. Oh, somebody said find some healthy bars. Perfect. Hope you're all listening to the webinar because now it's quiz time and we're definitely going to be making sure you're all taking away and learning something new. So first of all, what is one main culprit for a compromised immune system while traveling? So think early back in the webinar. What might be one thing that could cause compromised immune system? Dehydration. Amazing. Yep, dehydration. Yeah, perfect. Absolutely. And also circadian rhythm dysregulation is a huge one as well. And then what is something that you guys plan to do nutritionally next time you travel? We've talked about this in order to optimize your health. So we talked about when you're at the new place, whether you're at a new restaurant, chia water, someone liked my idea. Yes. Pack better snack. Stop the potato chips. Yes. So unfortunately not the best or highest in fiber, but the kale chips are. So it's a good swap. Healthy plate. Yeah, keeping that mindset. You wouldn't, again, we always bring it back. You wouldn't stop brushing your teeth. So why would you stop all your great progress you made in your health? And then what is something that you can plan to do holistically next time you travel to optimize your health? So we talked about nutrition, but what about for your mind, for your body? What's something you might do? More downtime and relaxation, incredible. Yeah, like prioritizing sleep. That is something absolutely. Set in the morning, meditation break. I love that. Yeah, it can be really, really, a lot going on while you're traveling. So taking the time to yourself is really powerful. It's awesome.
Yay, thank you everybody. Gosh, this was a jam-packed webinar. I hope you all were able to take some notes and get some incredible benefits from this. So just a reminder, we are all coming from the Create Cures Foundation nonprofit organization, the clinic based in Santa Monica. However, we can work with anybody in the United States, across the US. And we also have a sister location in Italy where we can really work with people globally. We work one-on-one with people. We have a lot of different types of programs. So depending on the accountability and the attention that you would like, we offer different programs. We even include Dr. Longo as part of the team, as well as molecular biologists and our PhDs in Italy that we love interacting with and getting their 2 cents on, hey, what's going on? Let's get more eyes on this situation so we can best help them. It's really incredible getting to individualize and optimize people's health nutritionally as best we can. So we are here to support you. I do invite you to reach out to us if you have any specific questions. We do work mostly with cancer patients, often people going through treatment. However, often people, whether they're in remission, dealing with any other chronic disease, or really just wanting to optimize their longevity, definitely reach out to us. And yeah, I want to here it is. If you are wanting to, if you're interested in that, interested in one-on-one consultations and working with our team, please do inquire clinic@createcures.org. And this is one of many webinars on our YouTube channel. I invite you to check it out. Our website, clinic.createcures.org. Dr. Longo also recently came out with a documentary, The Fasting Revolution. And if you haven't already heard of his books, Fasting Cancer just came out, and The Longevity Diet, I really invite you to check out. And now I'm so excited to answer whatever questions you might have. I'll just start out really quickly. I know one thing in the Q&A box, somebody said, I just want to have all the fun and eat all of the things. And I do encourage you when traveling, let's not make food the fun activity, right? Often before going on a health journey and improving our longevity, it's, ooh, we're here, let's make sure to have fun eating at this place and eating this new thing. Really, can we make it so that actually the people, the sightseeing, the movement, let's not make the food the most fun thing, right? And making sure that we're able to notice, hey, I'm doing my best to not be a victim to my circumstances. I'm going to set myself up for success. And sure, you know, like I said at the very beginning of this is not about living under a rock and never enjoying any any of your favorite indulgences. Knowing that I do have my greens, I am staying hydrated, I'm getting in plenty of fiber, and yeah, I'm gonna have a couple of bites of this fun thing, and be able to enjoy once in a while. That's part of living your life and enjoying the culture, enjoying wherever you're at. So I hope that that helped, and I invite the team to come on in and answer some questions. Maybe Shayna, since I see your face, you can answer one.
Yeah, I saw a good question about what about daily yogurt for gut health, which absolutely. So yogurt has probiotics that can help and feed the gut. And actually, it provides direct bacteria into the gut. But as we've mentioned, fiber is actually a really big component of gut health because fiber, like Katie mentioned earlier, actually helps feed the good bacteria in the gut and it creates these beneficial compounds called short chain fatty acids. So, having different forms of healthy gut protective foods like yogurt, but also fiber and vegetables and oats and seeds that can also help create a healthy gut microbiome.
I don't see too many questions here, but feel free to write it in the Q&A and we will answer them.
Just really quickly, I forgot to mention that there is a PDF that goes along with this webinar that you can download, maybe put it on your fridge, download it, have it on your phone. That includes a summary of our tips. So that can really help you to refer to that. And it looks like, thank you. It was just shared in the chat box. So go ahead and click on that so that you can download that PDF and be able to set yourself up for success while traveling. And then, yeah, please ask whatever questions you might have. Take advantage of us here. And of course, any super individualized questions, you can inquire clinic@createcures.org. We would love to get in touch with you. But we do have another 5 minutes here. We would love to answer your questions.
I know there was one question here about catching up with water intake after getting off the plane to prevent frequent bathroom trips. So, of course, my first advice would be to sit by the aisle just to be closer to the bathroom. But if that is an issue, then of course it's better to prepare maybe the day ahead, drink enough water as well as after. But if possible, it's important to also drink during the flight. Yeah, any other question, feel free to write it in the Q&A. I know somebody said, I just want to have fun and eat everything. So, like we talked a lot about, of course, we want to enjoy our traveling. We don't want it to be all about restricting ourselves. So, again, I think going back to planning, like let's say, yes, I'm gonna have a really good dinner tonight where I can eat whatever I want, but then we get on track after that meal again. So it doesn't become like a whole day, maybe not the whole trip, but you plan ahead certain meals that you can have something a little bit extra, but then again, you stay on track on the other meals.
I guess I'll briefly say I'm actually doing a lot of traveling this summer. I'm currently on a back and forth cross country road trip, and there are a lot of little hacks that I've come up with. It's really fun getting like a box of, you know, organic greens and just an avocado, mashing it up in there. I love the jarred beans. Like I look at Sprouts, you can get a jar of beans instead of a can if you don't have a can opener. Beans, avocado, greens, bada bing, bada boom, the best. I'm always munching on baby carrots, hummus. And it's different. It's different recommendations, right? If you're going on a cruise, if you're flying, or if you're on a road trip like me, um, the tips are going to be a little bit different. And you can definitely set up a drop-in consultation with one of us if you're really concerned, like, hey, I have this specific trip planned or something like that. We would love to help you set up with a plan to accomplish whatever goals you're looking to accomplish during that time. Um, yeah, I hope that that helps. There's definitely a lot of tips that I have for anybody road tripping this summer.
I also saw one question come in about support stockings or compression socks to help keep fluids into the vascular system. And those compression socks can be really helpful for when you're traveling or on a plane, definitely.
And I saw a question about electrolyte supplements, if there's anyone we recommend. There's so many out there, and it is important if you're getting one to try to get one that doesn't have any sugar in it. There are a couple brands like Magna, which is one that's pretty high in magnesium. But a lot of them too, it's important to monitor the sodium intake and understand that you might want to just dilute the packet even to be a half, even if you're traveling. But if you're losing a lot of fluids, whether it be sweat or from GI issues, then you might want to have more than just half a packet.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of questions about electrolytes. I feel like this is a little bit of a gray area because it's true, like Shayna said, there's a lot of different brands out there that might be really, really high in sodium and very low in magnesium, whereas Magna is higher in magnesium. And electrolyte pills you can get from running stores. And those, yeah, can really save people if they're running a marathon and they really need those electrolytes to, pop one of those electrolyte pills. Um, it's going to be important that I really like how Lota mentioned, fruits and vegetables are really fantastic sources of natural electrolytes. So if you're able to, have a banana on you, um, ask for some lemon or some lime added to your water. Even a pinch of salt, a little pinch of salt in your water can be fantastic. It doesn't have to be these processed powders. A little bit of salt in your water can actually go a long way. You can create your own electrolyte supplement. Um, and I just quickly want to add that, hey, a lot of my patients really, to their delight, to their surprise, ends up feeling healthier and more happy and more in alignment with their goals while traveling than on the day to day. Sometimes traveling can either be a mindset of, oh, I'm gonna indulge and absolutely, lose myself. Or it's, hey, thank goodness I'm going on vacation and I'm finally getting the time to prioritize my health and de-stress and take care of my body, right? It doesn't always have to be hard and impossible. And in fact, often when there's less options around, you're forced to have the salad. You're forced to have the healthiest option, which is sometimes even healthier, and you might find yourself accomplishing your goals even easier. All right, it looks like we're a minute over. Again, please do not hesitate to reach out to us, clinic@createcures.org. Thank you so much for taking the time. I hope that this was so helpful. And yeah, we'll hope to see you on the next one.
Bye,
Have a good night,
everybody. Thank
everyone.
Bye.
you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.